My mother was an obese woman, weighing 200 pounds, about 100 kilograms. While lying in bed, she accidentally suffocated my father, which led to their divorce. After that, my mother went insane with the desire to lose weight. One day, my brother Ryan pulled out a golden bottle of liquid, claiming it could help her lose weight quickly. But in reality, it was water filled with parasite eggs, designed to leach nutrients and devour human organs. My mother suffered stomach pains, vomited blood, and withered away like a piece of paper, utterly devoid of life. It was I who rushed her to the emergency room when she was on the verge of collapsing. The doctor said the parasites inside her had grown to a meter long. My mother narrowly escaped death, but Ryan brought my father back, bearing a wedding invitation for his second marriage to another woman. My mother began to resent me. "It's all your fault. You blocked my path to weight loss, making your father abandon me." As she screamed, she stabbed me to death, all while stuffing those parasitic worms into her own mouth. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the day Ryan gave Mother that bottle of water filled with parasite eggs. "Drinking this can really help you lose weight without any effort," Mother asked me. "My daughter, tell me, is what your brother brought trustworthy?" As Mother's chilling voice echoed in my ears, I realized I had been reborn. Because in my previous life, Mother had asked me the exact same question. In her hand was the bottle of liquid that my brother, Ryan, had brought back not long ago from a distant country known for its polluted waters. Rumors claimed that drinking this concoction would lead to rapid weight loss, shedding dozens of pounds without any effort. A single drop was said to be more precious than gold. Mother was determined to lose weight, driven to a frenzy. 4 months prior, she had been so heavy that during an intimate moment, she accidentally suffocated Father into unconsciousness. When he awoke, Father adamantly demanded a divorce. Mother wept, begging him not to leave her. But the more she cried, the more her plump face scrunched up, making her features appear even smaller and more distorted. Father angrily pointed to their wedding photo on the wall. "Look at yourself. Where's the woman I married? You're a 200-pound blob, you shake and jiggle when you walk. All our relatives and friends say our house is raising a fat pig. If the apocalypse comes and food runs out, we could stew you and live for half a year." Father screamed, ransacked the house for documents, then dragged Mother towards the civil affairs office. Back then, there was no mandatory cooling-off period before divorce, so the process was quick, and assets were split down the middle. Afterwards, Mother became obsessed with weight loss, signing up for every type of diet class, buying countless fat-burning and breast-enhancing products. But Mother was inherently lazy. Her enthusiasm for anything lasted only a few minutes. A single minute was a miracle, and the money simply vanished. It was then that my brother, Ryan, returned from a trip abroad, eagerly tempting Mother with a bottle of liquid. "Mother, with this bottle, you won't need to run, no Pilates, no dieting. Eat whatever you want, and you'll still lose weight." Upon hearing this, Mother's eyes lit up, and she eagerly asked, "What is it?" Ryan mysteriously replied, "It's an excellent living organism that helps you lose weight without doing anything." Mother, hearing it was a living organism, immediately grew scared. She sat on the sofa, wringing her hands anxiously, and turned to ask me. Mother asked for my opinion, and I didn't hesitate to shake my head. "Mother, this thing has an unknown origin, and it's a living organism. Weight loss requires persistence and discipline, not strange things that could harm your body." Who knew what my brother was plotting? He simply wanted Mother to spend all her money on diet classes and medicines, only for it all to eventually fall into his own pockets. Smack, the moment I finished speaking, Mother slapped me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ryan's mouth curl into a smirk, as if saying, "See, a daughter will never be as good as a son to carry on the family name." I scoffed. "If that's the case, why bother asking me at all, Mother?" And so, under Ryan's gleeful gaze, Mother gulped down the entire bottle of liquid. I watched Mother's throat move, no longer intending to stop her. In fact, deep down, I wanted to clap and cheer her on. "Drink it down, Mother. This is the gift your beloved son has personally prepared to send you straight to hell." Sure enough, over the next 2 months, Mother began experiencing stomach pains, vomiting blood, and rapidly withered away like a piece of paper. Anyone who saw her said she had transformed from a plump pig into a mere skeleton covered in skin, so thin that people wondered if a gust of wind could blow her away. I often saw vague movements of parasites beneath Mother's thin skin. Each time I saw it, I shuddered and urged Mother to go to the hospital immediately. Finally, one night, after vomiting everything into the toilet and still feeling unsatisfied, Mother ran outside into the pouring rain and developed a high fever. I immediately took her to the hospital. The doctor said, "The parasites in your mother's body have grown to 1 meter long. If you had delayed even a little longer, the worms would have crawled out of her body after controlling the host to find a water source. And at that point, not even gods could save her." After the surgery, when the doctor showed Mother the X-ray images of the parasites inside her, she was so shocked that she suffered constant nightmares, clutching my hand and thanking me endlessly. "Kira, thank goodness I have you by my side. Look, you've taken such good care of me, you've even developed a fever. I even had to buy smaller clothes." At the same time, Mother cursed Ryan as an ungrateful wretch, accusing him of trying to kill her for a bit of money. But when Ryan brought Father to her, bearing the news that he was remarrying a divorced woman, let's call her Sarah, Mother's attitude shifted dramatically. Her eyes fell on the wedding invitation, and upon seeing the new bride's skeletal figure, Mother's gaze turned insane. Ryan spoke up. "It's all your fault, sister. All she needed was deworming medicine. Did you have to ruin Mother's path to weight loss?" Mother truly went mad. She grabbed my head and slammed it against the wall, hitting me until my vision blurred. Not satisfied, Mother grabbed a fruit knife and stabbed me to death, while simultaneously stuffing the worms Ryan had brought back into my mouth. "It's all because of you, you unfilial daughter, blocking my way to weight loss. If I had succeeded, your father wouldn't have married someone else. Everything is your fault. Go to hell." I died in excruciating pain. My eyes, still open, fixed forever on the faces of that selfish, cruel mother and son. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the day Ryan enticed Mother to drink the water filled with worm eggs. I let out a wicked laugh this time. I wanted to witness firsthand just how horrifying it would be to see parasites crawl out of a human body. Mother, just like in my previous life, drank the entire bottle of worm egg water, even licking her lips in approval. "This water is truly sweet." I turned my face away, no longer looking at her. Even if this water were bitter, Mother would still insist it was sweet. Then Ryan pulled out an identical bottle from his backpack, his voice sickeningly sweet, a tone I had never heard from him before. "Sister, would you like to try this golden liquid?" I reached out to take it, but just as my hand was about to touch the bottle, I paused, looking up at Ryan's innocent, pale face. Compared to Mother, he was even more deserving of death. He was like a cunning rat hiding in the sewers, pulling all the strings from the shadows. I snatched the bottle from his hand, and under his hopeful gaze, I poured the liquid directly into his mouth, forcing him to drink every last drop. Remembering my miserable death in the previous life, I wished for every single drop to fall into his stomach. Ryan resisted violently, shoving me away with his head, then rushed into the bathroom as if a sea monster were chasing him. I heard him gagging, dry heaving in waves. I stood behind the door and shouted, "Brother, didn't you say this was golden water? Why is it okay to trick Mother into drinking it, but when it's your turn, you want to gag and vomit it out?" Hearing this, even Mother, no matter how foolish, understood something was amiss. She pushed me aside and walked to the bathroom door, her voice calm but laced with an underlying madness. "Ryan, what are you doing? Is there poison in the water?" Ryan, who was still gagging, immediately froze, his body stiffened, then he turned around and flashed Mother a smile. "Mother, I'm not fat. I always exercise, that's why I have a healthy, slender figure now. I wouldn't want to go back to being skinny and weak like a boiled chicken." Mother, as usual, heard Ryan's words, didn't give them a second thought, and implicitly trusted him. She then happily went into the kitchen to cook lunch for Ryan, muttering, "Ryan likes beef for strength. I must stir-fry 4 pounds of fresh beef." The moment Mother entered the kitchen, Ryan dropped his act. He glared at me with malicious eyes and continued to gag, but it seemed that wasn't enough for him. I saw his fingers tapping rapidly on his phone screen, scheduling an appointment with a family doctor. Half an hour later, Mother finished cooking, called Ryan out to eat, only to discover he had left. Mother shoved the plate of hot beef I was eating onto the floor, fiercely yelling, "This is for your brother. You eat that plate of vegetables next to it." I looked at Mother's figure, from her throat to her waist and stomach, calculating the growth cycle and habits of the parasitic worms in my mind. In reality, this type of worm was originally harmless to humans, but Ryan had meticulously prepared the eggs, soaking them in wastewater from another country, causing them to mutate and become potent. After that day, I skipped dinner, quickly gathered all necessary documents and belongings, and left Mother's house. I found a new job and had to take a train to my new workplace that very evening. Mother's face immediately darkened upon hearing this. "What kind of job keeps you from staying home?" An outsider might think she was worried about me, but I knew better. That was absolutely not the case. Sure enough, Mother immediately said, "Even if you move out, you still need to remember to send money home monthly for living expenses. In this life, must I still let that pair of wolves in human skin spend my hard-earned money from working 996 hours?" I feigned awkwardness. "Mother, this time I'll have to pay for train tickets, rent, and I won't be provided with food and lodging. Can you give me some money as an emergency fund?" Hearing that I not only wouldn't send money but dared to disrespectfully demand it back, Mother's face immediately changed. Annoyed, she chased me away. She changes her mind faster than turning a page, but I didn't care. Who would dare stay in a house knowing there was a living biological weapon inside? A month after moving out, I was working very smoothly at my new company. During that time, every day I saw Mother's status updates. Today, she lost 2 pounds, tomorrow another 3, the day after, a pound lighter. Every day she would hug her stomach, laughing as she looked at the numbers on the scale, with Ryan praising her in a malicious tone beside her. "I told you, Mother, this golden liquid makes losing weight as easy as pie." The scene shifted to Mother feasting on delicacies at the table. The comments were full of surprised acquaintances asking how she managed to lose so much weight. Of course, some relatives were skeptical. "Who could believe losing several pounds every day?" Mother even replied, "This is the weight loss water my son painstakingly found for me. It's filled with my son's filial devotion." I immediately took screenshots and saved those video clips as clear evidence of my brother's scheme to harm Mother. Mother thought this was a path to effortless, happy, and carefree weight loss, but she didn't know the ground beneath her feet was slowly disappearing. The parasites in her body were constantly sucking nutrients, eroding her internal organs by the hour, by the minute. Time flew by. Mother, once a 200-pound obese woman, withered away to the point where she could fit into my skinny jeans. One night, while working overtime, I was about to make another cup of coffee when I saw heavy rain outside the window. Just then, my phone rang. It was the building management. "Ms. Kira, your mother seems to have gone mad. She's been standing in the rain for 3 days straight, her face flushed red, probably with a fever. I don't know if the fever has damaged her brain. She keeps tilting her head back, catching and drinking the rainwater nonstop." Smiled. That was because the worms inside Mother after 2 months had grown so strong they were controlling her body to seek out water sources. This type of parasite loves water and dampness and hates warmth. The building guard was still waiting for my response. I truthfully replied, "I'm sorry, I'm working 1,000 kilometers away. What about your brother? He lives with your mother." "We've already reported it to your brother," the guard continued. "He just said, 'My mother just can't sleep. She's just out taking a rain shower. She'll come back when she's done playing.'" But after hanging up, the lights in his house immediately went out. Hearing that, my heart turned cold. This wolf was truly vicious. When Father and Mother divorced, Mother got half the money, and he was envious. Because Mother squandered money on diet classes and medicines, he devised such a cruel method to harm her, all under the guise of filial piety. No sooner had the building guard finished speaking than Ryan called. "Sister, the power's been cut. We owe 2 months' electricity bill. Could you pay it first?" I let out a cold laugh. His voice was as calm as still water, completely devoid of concern for the mother who had raised him since childhood. "Ryan, I don't live there. Why should I pay? What's wrong with your head?" Ryan froze. Hearing my sharp tone, I decisively hung up. Afterwards, I checked the electricity bill on the app, over 800 yuan for 2 months. It must have been that every room in the house, including the living room, had the air conditioning on 24/7. This was because those parasites preferred dampness and hated heat. It seemed they were living quite comfortably inside Mother's body. Otherwise, Mother, a woman who, apart from spending Father's money on weight loss, was so frugal she'd rather suffer from heat stroke than turn on a fan. How could she spend over 400 yuan on electricity each month? Then mother fainted, and my paternal aunt called me from the hospital. Her voice was filled with worry. Kira, the doctor says your mother is in critical condition. The X-ray shows a worm over a meter long inside her. It's terrifying. We need to sign for emergency surgery now. I lowered my eyes. In my previous life, after seeing something crawling under mother's skin, I immediately took her to the hospital. Back then, Ryan had tried to stop me. I still remembered his icy tone. Sister, I advise you not to interfere in this. Mother's condition has long been anticipated by me. When she weighs 100 pounds, I'll give her deworming medicine. I slapped him, but he grabbed my head and slammed it against the wall. Sister, I painstakingly brought these worms from abroad. If you ruin my plan, I'll deal with you too. If only I had understood the meaning behind that threat, if only I had truly abandoned mother, whose body was infested with worms, then perhaps I wouldn't have died in my previous life. Unfortunately, I was once mother's good little girl. And now, whether in this life or the last, Ryan's goal remained the same. Mother dies, money is left behind. I calmly told my aunt, isn't her son there? Tell him to sign the surgery papers. But Ryan only wished mother would die as soon as possible. Sure enough, over the phone, I heard him arguing with the doctor. What nonsense are you talking about? My mother is perfectly healthy, just a high fever. An IV drip will fix her. Why are you saying she's critical? The doctor was urgent. We've done many tests. We've never encountered a situation like this. But your mother's body is truly being ravaged by parasites. We need to operate immediately to remove them. For every minute you argue, she's in more danger. That worm is eating away at your mother's internal organs every second. Ryan sneered, his voice cold, clearly cruel. I said no surgery, and I mean no surgery. The doctor impatiently explained. If you're worried about the cost, the hospital can help apply for assistance from a charity fund. The patient's condition is extremely critical. She might actually die. Can you really be so heartless as to let your mother die? On my end, I just gave a cold laugh. He was truly generous. Even hoping mother wouldn't be taken to the emergency room, but directly to the cold morgue. At that very moment, my aunt angrily slapped Ryan. Since you were little, your mother loved you the most. She gave up her career to be a housewife for you. Every night you wouldn't sleep, and she'd hold you all night long. How can you say such things without feeling ashamed? My aunt called Ryan inhuman. I listened and nodded. Yes, he deserves 1,000 cuts to kneel before me and beg for forgiveness. Ryan was never a good person, even as a child. After being scolded frantically by my aunt, I heard her tragic scream. I felt no sympathy for this aunt. She had given birth to 5 daughters, naming them in a way meant to attract sons, calling the emperor, praise the king, prosperity king. She wasn't well off and, I heard, was still trying for a 6th pregnancy, desperate to have a son. That's why I felt no pity for her at all. Just then, a nurse's voice rang out. The patient is awake. She says she wants to have the surgery. I was startled and a little hurried. I shouted to my aunt, telling her to put the phone to mother's hand. I said just one sentence to mother. Mother, father is about to get married. I've already received his wedding invitation. And just like that, mother stopped her treatment. At this point, she was only 20 pounds away from her 100-pound weight loss goal. From someone too weak to walk, she suddenly seemed injected with adrenaline, her limbs regaining strength, just as my brother had hoped. After a few IV drips and her fever subsiding, she left the hospital. My aunt called, scolding me furiously, asking what I had said to mother that made her change her mind and want to postpone the surgery. I gave a faint smile, about to feign innocence, when Ryan's voice came through the phone, sounding somewhat gleeful. You did the right thing, sister. Surgery in the hospital costs tens of thousands of yuan. Mother's fine, just give her a deworming pill when she gets home, and she'll be all right. I didn't answer. Ryan continued, his voice distant, seemingly speaking to my aunt. Auntie, worry about your own household first. Reaching out so far, be careful, you might not be able to have a son. Cursing my aunt about not being able to have a son, that was the cruelest thing to say to her. So my aunt left. Before she did, she spat out the most bitter insults. If one gives birth to a child like Ryan, the kind of son who watches his sick mother die without helping, I'd rather not have given birth at all. Hearing this, my eyes lit up. I never expected that in this life, Ryan would do something that would awaken my aunt. Better to give birth to heir than to an ungrateful wretch. My aunt was also furious with mother. Sister, sooner or later, this precious son of yours will kill you, to throw away your life for a few tens of thousands of yuan. Immediately, mother retorted, you're just jealous of me. Jealous because I gave birth to a son? I no longer had anything in common with Mother. If anyone could still save her, it would only be my aunt. After leaving the hospital, Mother's face was still flushed. She was just skin and bones, wearing a white dress, looking as if a gust of wind could blow her away. At that time, the all-night rain had stopped. Mother was on her way to Father's new house, where he was preparing for his remarriage. It was midday, with a gentle breeze and scattered clouds. I was contemplating whether to eat Thai food or sushi when I received a call from the police. Ms. Kira Lin, your mother has passed away. Please come identify the body. The call ended. I sat dazed for a long moment. She's dead. My mother is dead. Could it be that the steel worms inside her could no longer be contained and burst out, causing her death? I immediately booked the earliest flight and rushed back home. At the police station, my entire family was present, along with a young, frail woman whose face was as pale as if she had just fallen out of a hospital bed. I covered my nose. The strong smell of disinfectant permeated the station. Police officers wore gas masks, carrying large canisters, continuously spraying disinfectant. It turned out my guess was correct. The worms in Mother's body had indeed crawled out, and the timing of their emergence was right there, in the police station. Mother, filled with resentment, went to confront Father. She never expected that only 2 months after their divorce, he already had a new lover, Sarah. Mother rang the doorbell, and the woman who opened the door was her asterisk. Looking down at that swollen belly, Mother's face turned ashen, as if all the blood had drained from her limbs. Seeing the pregnant belly, Mother understood everything. Reasons like hating her for being fat or being suffocated in bed were just Father's excuses. He had been sleeping with that woman for a long time. With a belly that big, she was probably due to give birth in a few months. Mother, losing all reason in her fury, lunged forward, grabbed the woman's hair, and stabbed her pregnant belly with the umbrella she was holding. Father heard the cries for help and landed a punch directly into Mother's eye socket. She screamed in agony, tears streaming down her face. It was said that Mother's screams at that moment shook the entire floor. When people rushed out, they only saw blood flowing between the pregnant woman's legs. Father mounted Mother, delivering the most vicious punch of his life, pounding her head relentlessly. He resented being confined by Mother, that pig, for so many years. He wanted to pursue younger women to have a new family, but every time he tried, Mother would drag him back to bed and suffocate him. Ryan, once drunk, had gleefully told me all this, saying Mother ate well and had good teeth, so if I ever had to support her, I'd die poor. I realized Father was just like Ryan, selfish, cruel, and only cared about himself. I thought the same, which is why Father's punches could be so brutal. But Mother had slept beside him for decades. Poor Mother. All for an old husband who cheated in their marriage. She sacrificed her initial healthy body. So, was it Father who took Mother to the police station? Did his conscience suddenly awaken? Of course not. While beating Mother, Father noticed something strange beneath the skin on her face. It felt chilling to the touch. So he tossed Mother down the cold stairwell and drove Sarah to the hospital himself. In the end, it was merely a kind, anonymous neighbor who called the police and an ambulance for Mother. Ryan came forward to accuse Father of domestic violence against Mother. Mother's face was covered in blood, yet she still clung to Father's side. I even remembered every word Mother said then. That woman must have enchanted your father. That's why he hit me. If I just lose weight, your father will come back to me. So, after her wounds were superficially treated at the hospital, Ryan dragged Mother to the police station, adamantly demanding Father compensate her for the assault. Mother, however, refused to let go of Sarah, who was carrying Father's child. She dragged the woman by the arm, creating a chaotic scene at the police station. As they argued loudly in the station, Mother suddenly cried out that she was thirsty, grabbed the communal water dispenser, and guzzled water down her throat. In the middle of drinking, suddenly, large, long, bizarre blackish-brown intestinal worms spewed out from Mother's throat. Everyone in the room stared, eyes wide with horror, a sight that would haunt them for life, except for Ryan and me. I had requested the surveillance footage from that time. I saw it very clearly. As the steel worms crawled out of Mother's mouth, Ryan's lips curled into a cold, triumphant, delighted, and expectant smile. Yes, this was a plan he had meticulously laid out long ago, a conspiracy leading to Mother's death. That's why he smiled. My mother died just like that, dying at the very moment her most beloved husband embraced another woman and left, dying in unwilling resentment, in unspeakable, choked-up bitterness, a truly tragic death. This matter couldn't be settled quietly. Even the police were getting a headache. Mother was charged with pushing the woman down the stairs, resulting in a miscarriage. Father was deemed to have used excessive self-defense, but ultimately Mother had initiated the attack. Father's side demanded that Ryan, as Mother's heir, pay 300,000 yuan in compensation. Of course, Father initially turned to me for money, but I just shrugged. Father, I only graduated college 2 years ago. My salary barely covers my own expenses. Do you think I have any money left? My pockets are emptier than my face is clean. Besides, even if I had money, there's no way I'd give it to those two disgustingly selfish father and son. So Father shifted his focus to Ryan, Mother's heir. Ryan's face immediately darkened. Father, we're family after all. Mother is dead, can't we just let bygones be bygones? The dead should rest in peace. Father was furious. You and Sarah are about to get married. This time your mother caused us to lose our child, but Sarah is still young, we can still have another one. Why don't you sell the house? Wouldn't that be enough for compensation? I stood at a distance, listening to their confrontation, and gave a cold laugh. I knew it. Father had his eyes on that house from the beginning. And Ryan, who could coldly kill his own mother, what did he care about a father whose heart had long belonged to another family? Ryan pointed to the room where Mother's body lay. You want money, Father? Mother's in there. Go ask her yourself. You unfilial wretch, you're not even human. Father was pierced straight through the heart by those words. It was then that he realized there wasn't a trace of sorrow on Ryan's face. Mother had died such a tragic and bizarre death, yet not only him, but even I hadn't shed a single tear. Father cursed us as unfilial children. I merely scratched my ear and walked to the morgue, looking at Mother's body through the glass. Compared to Ryan, I was still very filial. I stood in silent mourning for Mother for 1 minute. A memory flashed. In my previous life, Mother stabbed me while stuffing steel worms into her own mouth. In this life, Mother had seemingly gotten her wish. She was precisely 100 pounds lighter. Leaving the police station, Ryan tried to lure me home. I knew what he was thinking. Mother's gone, no one to take care of my sister anymore. He said, I'll find someone to take care of your latter half of life. His eyes curved, looking gentle and harmless. He claimed this person knew how to treat women well, though once married, he was now divorced. His ex-wife still longed for him due to his kindness. He also traveled frequently. If you go with him, you'll get to experience many places. He's a big boss in the tourism industry. At this moment, we were standing right outside the police station. I wasn't afraid of him. I coldly exposed the truth about this man. Because he abused his ex-wife curses him every day, wishing he'd be hit by a car and die. He's a man who's been to labor camp, and now he's just a taxi driver. I was utterly sick of Ryan's face. I asked him, how much betrothal money did he promise you? Ryan blurted out, 500,000? Unbelievable. A taxi driver offering 500,000 in betrothal money all at once. Or perhaps the taxi driver was deceiving Ryan. But that had nothing to do with me. I called my friend to pick me up. He was a muscular, burly fitness trainer. Back at the company, Ryan called me every day. I thought for a moment and then sent him a message. Brother, the other day I saw Father again after several months, and I felt a strong pang of jealousy. You look exactly like Father when he was young and handsome. Poor little mistress, she's not much older than me. My intention was to give Ryan a simple path, go seduce that mistress. There was no reason why she, enchanted by an old, unkempt man, wouldn't fall for a youthful, cute-faced young man like Ryan. I secretly installed a camera in the house, and sure enough, Ryan successfully seduced her. Their conversations grew increasingly vulgar, and they even planned to meet when Father was away on a business trip. I knew the time was ripe. That day I called Father beforehand, then orchestrated a dramatic, catching in the act scene. When Father walked in, he saw Ryan, covered in lipstick marks and scratches, and his young wife, naked and hiding under the covers. He gasped, just like Mother had years ago. Years of smoking and drinking had left Father's old, frail body unable to withstand such a shock. He collapsed on the spot and was rushed to the hospital. After a series of tests, the doctor sternly announced, "He's had a stroke. For the rest of his days, your father will live with a twisted neck and a crooked mouth." As for the mistress, realizing the situation was beyond salvage, she took Father's assets and fled. Someone reported that she was the perpetrator of numerous marriage fraud cases. How could someone who specialized in destroying other people's families be called a good person? True love. Afterwards, Ryan came to find me again. He said he had found an extremely cheap nursing home for father. I specifically looked up information about that place and discovered it had made local news, but for abusing elderly residents to death. I turned off my phone screen after reading it. Father's remaining life was entirely his own making. He had neglected everything, allowing mother to spoil their rotten son. That was the consequence he brought upon himself, and it had nothing to do with me. I still remembered when I was little, the three of them would go to an all-you-can-eat buffet for 499 yuan per person, while I went alone to buy a 9.9 yuan sandwich, eating it while crying. Standing outside the restaurant, watching my parents smile brightly at Ryan, pushing all the delicious food towards him. People say wounds from your original family need a doctor to heal. Well, father, accept the pain from the nursing home your son chose for you. Consider it repayment for your coldness towards your daughter. After the rain, there will be a rainbow. I walked out of the funeral home holding mother's small urn, what remained after her body was cremated. The staff looked at me with pity. Other families had 3 generations gathered. Many people came, but I was all alone. Ryan didn't come. I left the funeral home and found a desolate, murky river. I released mother's ashes there. Didn't she love those worms so much? This river is full of steel worm eggs. See how filial I am. In my previous life, before she stabbed me to death, didn't mother try to stuff steel worms into her own mouth? So in this life, both before and after her death, I helped her fulfill her wish, sending her ashes down the murky river. The fish, mistaking them for food, swarmed to them. Mother, I heard that when you died, your eyes were wide open, staring at Ryan. Did you also see him smiling as if he'd won 5 million yuan in the lottery when you passed? What else could it be but winning the lottery? Our residential area is about to be redeveloped. That's a huge sum of money. But Ryan wouldn't get to enjoy that massive fortune, because I smiled like a demon because he was about to be handcuffed. I returned to the police station, where the strong smell of disinfectant still lingered, and submitted all the evidence, proving that Ryan had planned mother's murder, as well as the camera footage showing that on the day I was reborn, he tried to force me to drink the bottle of worm egg water. When the police brought a handcuffed Ryan before me, I gave a proud, triumphant smile. He glared at me, his eyes bloodshot and wide. Sister, if I had known this, I would have killed you too. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted. I burst out laughing. Brother, in this life, I win, mother is dead, and you'll rot in prison. He didn't just intentionally kill mother. In fact, father's stroke was also orchestrated by him. He lied to the hospital, claiming father's illness was caused by emotional distress. This life, just like the previous one. Suddenly, Ryan's eyes turned malicious, a look I knew all too well. It was the same look mother had when she stabbed me to death with a fruit knife in the hospital, filled with hatred and disgust, as if out of all the people he had met in his life, I was the one he hated the most. The miserable sister who had to live because of his birth. He completely collapsed, tears streaming down his face as if he'd been struck by lightning. No, it's not supposed to be like this. I should be spending mother's inheritance, living a lavish life. And you should be a rotting corpse, long dead. He screamed, lunging forward, his hands reaching for my throat. If I could do it again, I wouldn't be soft-hearted. Both you and mother must die. He shrieked in pain. But this was a police station, a place where justice prevailed. A wicked person like him would never get another chance. I stared at the silver handcuffs, which, no matter how he tried, could not be removed from his wrists. Brother, congratulations on getting to eat state-sponsored meals. The man he once tried to force me to marry, wasn't he also someone who had been to a labor camp? He even bragged that he was an outstanding youth eating state-sponsored meals. Now, it's his turn. Everything started with Ryan, but now I will end it. I walked out of the police station, music,